Greetings, folks. Welcome to Sell Any Bit podcast, and a show where we talk about business, entrepreneurs, and about people who dare to dream. So, our today's guest is a very special person, all the way from Greece, Christos. Welcome to my show, and thank you for your visit today. Tell me first, how's life treating you? How's your visit to Dubai? How do you find it, being here?
I've been here a few days and I'm enjoying it. It's great to be walking around in a shirt and shorts, because actually I spent half the year in Greece, but I've also spent half the year in Montreal in Canada.
Yeah.
So, right now in Canada there's snow.
Yeah.
And it's probably like minus 10 degrees.
Yes.
So this is pleasant. I'm having a good time here.
Okay, great. But I think it's going to get hot in coming weeks. So then you're not going to enjoy much, the weather is good at the moment.
I'll be back in Greece and on the Greek islands hopefully by next month.
The weather in Greece is fantastic. Anyway, Christos, every great journey starts with a single step. So you begin your career in comedy distribution, eventually leading to the filmmaking and beyond. So what ignited your passion in storytelling, and how did your early career set stage for diverse pursuits?
So you've done your research. It's incredible that you actually know everything about me. So I really appreciate that. First of all, thank you for having me. And it's good to see you again, because you did get to spend about a week in Greece last year. So I really had
I really had a really good time.
Yeah, I really enjoyed my time with you.
Your hospitality was fantastic.
Yeah. So and I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to see you. So it's very simple. I grew up in Montreal. Both my parents are Greek. I grew up in a very working class environment, and in fact, a difficult neighborhood, right? So it was a neighborhood where as soon as you walked out of the house, you were either bullied, okay, or you bullied. It's
okay.
To be able to survive. If you're being bullied, you have to also bully. It's incredible. What I did was I was able to tell good stories, so I could get myself out of a jam. Right? Either make people laugh or tell them some sort of interesting, dramatic story, or even do a song and a dance. I'm not joking. This is totally true, right?
Yeah, really.
So since I was a young child, I used to be this, clown. I used to be the class clown, right? So storytelling came easy to me. Now, is it part of my DNA? Because both my parents are Greek, the land of where drama and tragedy and comedy started. Did I learn that from home, or a combination of both? I have no idea. But for me, the early days was how to get myself out of a pickle, as they say, right?
Yeah.
And it was basically how to make people laugh. It's essentially that.
Yeah.
And that's why after university, I went to work for Just for Laughs, the big comedy festival that's based in Montreal. And then that's where I kind of started my career and my journey, from selling TV shows around the world.
So that was in Greece, yeah?
No, that was in Montreal.
Montreal, okay.
Yeah, that was in Montreal.
When was that?
Say again?
When was this?
This is probably like in the late 1990s, early 2000s when I started working right after university.
Okay.
And we were selling comedy shows to about 150 countries around the world, to about 100 airlines. I think we're having something like 1.5 million global viewers of our programming per year.
Oh.
It was insane, yeah. We had some really good programming. You've probably seen the programming. The biggest export that we had was Just for Laughs Gags. It's a non-verbal hidden camera show. Okay. And then we also had stand-up comedy, and the company started comedy festivals all over the world. Okay. So beyond Montreal, there was comedy festival in London, in France, Toronto, Vancouver. At one point they were doing one, I believe, in Chicago. I helped launch the one in Sydney, Australia. I think there might have been a festival here, or there was talks of doing one here in Dubai as well. Mexico, Bermuda. I'm probably forgetting because I haven't worked for them for about 15 years. But it's the largest comedy brand in the world, right? Now, unfortunately, Netflix is creeping up and doing a lot of stand-up comedy as well.
And YouTube as well.
And YouTube as well.
Yeah, there are a lot of creators now who do really, really good stuff.
Yeah.
And TikTok.
Of course.
So TikTok is...
but it's, the brand's been there for over 40 years, and so that's where I cut my teeth. That's where I was able to take other people's programming, third-party programming, and help sell it all around the world. And then on my off time, I had a very good bosses who allowed me to create my own work and own the IP. So in my off time, I would create, short films, and my first feature film I created while I was there. I was writing creating other types of programming as well. I also directed some programming for them too.
Okay.
It was great. 12 years I got to travel and see the world. So I have no regrets. It's made me who I am today.
Great. That's really inspiring. Okay, so transitioning from film to authoring a best-selling Greek cookbook is quite a leap. So what brought you to the culinary world, and how did you find the process of capturing your culture and connecting back to your roots, back to Greek?
Okay, this is another good question. You've done your research. So,
yeah, I did indeed.
And you know what? These are actually challenging questions, and I often. I'm interviewed, but no, these are solid. I love this, so I'm happy to be here, and I want to come back.
All right.
Even after the second question. So, it's very simple. Unfortunately, doctors had given my mother 6 to 12 months to live.
Right.
Okay. She did. God bless her soul. She got to live much longer than that.
Right.
The first thing I thought to myself was, how do I capture all of my mom's essence?
Right.
All of her hospitality.
So your mom moved with you to Montreal, or she was living in Greece?
No, they were both. Yeah, so both my parents emigrated to Montreal.
Okay, so with you in 90s, right?
No, this is in the 60s they came. So I'm the youngest of 4 children.
Right, so they migrated to Canada in the 60s. Okay.
In the 60s.
All right.
So my mom's passed away. She's been buried in Montreal. Okay. My father, everyone's still living in Montreal.
So were you born in Greece?
No, my older brother was born in Greece.
Okay.
My older brother was born in Greece,
okay.
And I would travel to Greece every year, summer holidays.
Right.
I got to learn Greek. My parents sent us to Greek school. At home, we spoke Greek.
So that's when you have memories of getting bullied back.
Absolutely.
Growing up.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay.
the idea is, I would go to Greece every summer, understand the culture, appreciate the culture, family, friends in Greece, and that's one of the reasons. After so many years, I decided to move there. It's in 2019. I spent half the year there, half the year in Montreal, because of my connections, my roots, and fall in love with the people, the culture, the hospitality. Who I am essentially. Mm-hmm. So my mom would always have people over for dinner, and then not just her kids and her family members and her relatives, strangers, and our siblings, us. We would bring to our parents' place a lot of different people from all walks of life, from different nationalities, different religions, different colors, right? And every time people would leave, they'd say, "That was the best Greek food I ever had in my life." Mm-hmm. Yeah. Your mother and your father are sweet, they're so hospitable, and your siblings are hilarious. Mm-hmm. So it was that experience and that food that throughout the years, I would always think about, how do I take my mom's essence and her legacy and put it together into one book? And this is her meals. This is basically every single Greek recipe she's ever cooked for us. She would make non-Greek foods as well. And the idea was essentially just create this book. Before she passed away, I bought an expensive DSLR, took photos, and it was trial and error, trying to figure out how to take nice photos of food. My sister would help with the styling. You'd have to buy different types of place settings and different types of foods and spices and different types of tablecloths and to style every single photo, right? Okay. So my sister got involved, my mother got involved. Obviously, it was the recipes, and my father also helped. And I would go once a week over to the house, maybe once every 2 weeks, depending on how my mom was feeling. If she wasn't feeling good, I wouldn't show up. If in the middle of a recipe that she was showing us how to cook, I'd sit there with the laptop and type it away. If she wasn't feeling well, she would have to take a rest, nap, and sometimes we would have to scrub that meal and try it another day. Okay. So it was a process of a year and a half. So she managed to live several years afterwards. And the idea was to take that cookbook and make 100 copies and give it to friends and family for free. Okay. Let's say during the holidays, just give it to them for free. And that's it. It was supposed to be a gift. But then I sent it to a friend of mine who owns a cookbook store. And she couldn't believe her eyes. She's like, this deserves to be published. Okay. And she's like, I usually get people sending me examples of cookbooks that they want to create. Okay. But this is the best I've ever seen. This deserves to get a publisher. And she helped me find publishers, and I spoke to several different publishers through friends, other people who've created different books. I managed to find a literary agent in New York. That literary agent found a publisher in New York, and that publisher distributes all their books through Simon and Schuster, which is a huge global brand. So something of that was just going to be, a bit of a love story of my mother and her cooking and my family. It winds up being this, global international success. It's a best-selling cookbook. It's in its 7th printing, and now they've just released, the publishing house has just released a soft cover of the book. So the idea was take my mother's meals, create a cookbook, and be able to give it to my friends and family for free. And now it's being sold internationally with the idea that, say, 1,000 years from now, people can pick up my mother's cookbook and still make a recipe. Right. So that is lasting forever. It's everlasting. This is for all eternity, right? So, that's taking, I guess, go back to your question, I guess, taking what I learned from film school, taking what I learned for 12 years of selling comedy programming to broadcasters and airlines around the world, taking all that and creating this cookbook and being able to tell that story now, not just to family members and friends who would always see that storytelling ability that they would see from my family members at the house. And my mother being able to cook for them and having, basically an origin of every single foods. Like in the cookbook, what we talk about where this recipe comes from. So you learn a little bit of history and what that recipe also means to my family as well. So to be able to take those stories and now be able to create a cookbook with it and sell it internationally, that's just it's come full circle.
So for our listeners, is it on Amazon?
Yeah, you can buy it on Amazon. It's called My Big Fat Greek Cookbook, just like My Big Fat Greek Wedding, except that it's My Big Fat Greek Cookbook. And in fact, actually, it's interesting that my cousin who lives here actually found it at a cookbook store or just a regular bookstore here in Dubai. You can believe it. Yeah, he found it here. Wow. Picked up a copy. He had already bought a copy as well in Greece. He picked up a copy, sends a photo, and was like, dude, the book's being sold here in Dubai. So this is insane.
So how many copies have you sold so far?
So we've sold, I mean, I'm not at liberty to say, but we've sold in the tens of thousands.
Amazing.
Yeah, really, so we've sold attendance, and my goal, and considering that my mother is not a celebrity chef, I'm not a celebrity chef, and there's, it's no big marketing campaign behind it. My goal is to sell 100,000 copies of the book. That is my personal goal, and it's not about the money, because let's be realistic. People who know about the publishing world, making much, especially if you're selling the digital copy of that book, it's pennies. For every copy you're selling, because the average ebook is anywhere between 99 cents to a few dollars, right?
It's also about sharing the love of food.
Yeah, that's essentially it. Exactly. I created this book for my mother's legacy and for my family's as well. This is a family project. That's I've never thought that I would make $1 off of it, and it's just it's just a story about love for my mom. That's essentially it.
Yeah, I see you're very very passionate about Greece. So let's go back to Greece and tell us about your stories. Greece is a very culturally very rich country. So tell us about some growing up there, some of your particular historic figures, apart from you got bullied. So any other traditional stuff you want to just go back to Greece. I know when I was there in Athens, the way you take me around, the city center, all the historic sites. So just for our listeners, so share some stories about Greece and Greek history.
Okay, sure.
And traditions.
I mean, I'm hoping that a lot of the listeners and viewers have gone to Greece or want to come visit. So right now, Greece is booming. All industry, in fact.
Yeah, I did notice actually when I was there.
Yeah, so 10 years ago
before I was going, it was my first trip, and I had a very different perception about Greece. But I have when I was there, and I noticed that the economic activity is really really good.
Yeah, I mean right now all the credit agencies have put it to investment grade, right? In 10 years Before, during the economic crisis, people were suffering, right? You had something like 25% unemployment, and now it's probably down to 10, it'll probably go to 5 in the next couple of years. A lot of money being poured into Greece. Right now, they're creating this whole new kind of marina down on the Athenian Riviera, which is the largest infrastructure program right now in all of Europe. The reason why people love to go to Greece, beyond, so let's say the food and the sun and the beach and the sea and all that kind of stuff, is because it's visually pleasing. Okay, you can't take a bad photo in Greece. While people were suffering during the economic crisis in Greece, tourism was booming. Why? Because when you're taking a selfie and you got either a beach or whitewashed beautiful houses on the Greek islands, or you're in some sort of forest, or you're in some sort of garden, wherever you are, you can't take a bad photo in Greece. Right? And that's what, it sounds silly, but that for me is the image of Greece. And so you start with that. So if you're already in a country that's visually pleasing, right? There's no wonder why in the ancient times, thousands of years ago, the ancients were able to create stuff. If they're in a pleasant environment, in a moderate climate, and you basically see mountains, sea and sun and sky, your eyes, which you have two, your ears, which you have two. This is what I think it was probably Socrates said. 2 eyes, 2 ears, but 1 mouth. So you should look more, listen more, and speak less, right? And so when these philosophers were there thousands of years ago, they were looking and listening, and they were creating.
Very wise.
Very wise. So this is, one of the reasons why, philosophy and, mythology, arithmetic, medicine, architecture, a lot of it borrowed from the ancient Egyptians. All kind of, for the most part, all kind of started, and what a lot of people say is gave light to the rest of the world. This is how mathematics was exported. Philosophy was exported. Because of the light of Greece, right? But as a visitor, when you go there, one thing I think you'll notice and that you'll appreciate, and you find it in other countries around the world, but it's this little extra mile that the Greeks will take is this an additional type of hospitality that simply that you won't find in a lot of other countries around the world, right? And it's authentic. And I like to believe that it's going to stay that way for many years to come, because you lose that, you lose what the heart and the spirit of what Greece is all about. This is Greece. This is
amazing. So what do you feel, more Canadian or Greek?
I don't know, because the thing is, as when I'm in Canada, I don't feel Canadian. But then the question is, what is Canadian? Canada is a country that was unfortunately stolen by the Europeans. It's an indigenous, population. But then when I'm in Greece, I don't feel Greek either. I mean, people, even though I'll speak Greek, people know that I have an accent. So to the Greeks, I'm not fully Greek. They'll call me the tourist, or they'll call me the American. I'm like, well, I'm from Canada. It doesn't matter. You're the American. I'm like, are you trying to say North American? He goes, no, you're the American. You're the American. Right?
All right. Okay.
So listen. I don't lose sleep over it. However, it also has made me to who I am also today. Just keeps adding to what you were saying in the earlier questions. Being bullied or you're bullied, or a combination of both. You have to be able to tell a good story. Okay, so to the Canadians, I tell this kind of different kind of exotic story, this Greek story, right? And then when I'm in Greece, I tell this kind of exotic other Western story, Western Hemisphere story, right? So now that I'm in Dubai, I can pick and choose what I want. Do I want to be able to bring out the American in me, or do I want to be able to bring out the Greek in me? So whatever it takes to be able to tell that good story. At the end of the day, because when you're sitting with someone, even if it's just sitting with someone just as an invitation, just to hang out, or if you're sitting in a meeting with someone, if you can't entertain that person, if you can't share your knowledge with that person, if you can't ask questions with that person, if you can't find out who that person is, but what's the point? What's the point? What's the point if you can't share your knowledge and if you can't learn at the same time? The day you stop to learn is the day you die. I mean, you can be still living, but you're the walking dead. We constantly have to keep learning, and whatever we learn, we constantly have to be sharing with the rest of the world. Otherwise, what's the point? No point.
Okay, we were talking about before we started recording the podcast, the story about the guy from Ghana you met in the street. So just tell us a little bit about his story. So, what's his story?
Okay, well, I'm happy that it kind of is structured.
So probably with our listeners watching or listening, probably he'll find a job.
I'm hoping. His name is Patrick. He's from Ghana.
Okay.
And he's a parking attendant for the city.
Okay.
With Service P, I think it is.
I think, so he does the valet parking? He collects cars from people?
No, he doesn't collect cars.
Okay.
People just park on the street, and he has, a stand, and he takes, I think, 50...
In JBR, right?
Yeah.
JBR, okay.
Yeah. And I think it's serviced, one company services them all. It's very smart, because what you do is, wherever because there's no metered parking in JBR, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So wherever there's empty spots, the city, I guess, gives contracts to whatever parking service, and they put these little stands there, and let's say there'll be one person in charge of, let's say, 15 parking spots, and then half a kilometer down there'll be another 30 parking spots. So they use up all the parking, which is brilliant to begin with, right?
There are many in Dubai. They're all over Dubai.
Yeah, I know. It's brilliant.
Everywhere.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean,
parking attendants.
If there's no parking meters, why not be able to get some revenue out of that? And some people don't actually want to put their parking in a parking lot because the time go up and down, and in the time or a valet gets it, you just park it on the street.
Yeah.
You grab. You don't have to even leave your keys. You can just leave when you're done. Right? It's brilliant. Anyway, so he works across the street from the Ritz-Carlton.
Okay.
And it's just. Wherever I travel, I don't like to really talk to people who look like me. Sorry, I don't want to talk to other white people.
Okay.
I've learned as much as I can from other white people. That's the truth. I'm sorry. I'll keep learning from them, but I want to know what's going on with the African.
Okay.
I want to know what's going on with the Asian or the Arab. I'm in a different country. I want to learn about other people here. Right?
Yeah.
So it's just, I'm just walking on the street, big super smile, handsome fella. And he says hi, I say hi, and we started chatting, because I like to chat. Look, I'll probably speak to about 20 different people every day.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. From anyone who works in the retail industry, service industry, or wherever, anyone just on a park bench. I want to talk to people.
Okay.
Again, the way I learn about other cultures, right? And about other people, and about how other people think. Not everyone thinks like me.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to listen to what they have to say.
Yeah.
So a really sweet guy. He's mid-30s, not married. Been here for a couple of years, been working there for about 5 months. He said I was the first person to stop to talk to.
Really?
To strike my conversation in 5 months.
Okay.
He says you're the only one that stopped to talk to me in 5 months. I'm like, what?
That's a very kind gesture. I would say,
yeah. Thank you for saying that. I don't know if it's kind. It's just it's me just wanting to meet people, right? And it turns out that he is an IT professor. He has 10 years experience in Ghana.
Okay.
He has a hard time getting a job here. And I go, really, why? He goes, this is what he does. They color my skin. He goes, I'll get the pre-interviews on the phone or whatever, but as soon as they see me, I'm like, really? I'm like, this is a center of the world that's brought the best of the world, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to find a job, So that's the story of Patrick. I mean, he pays for his family back home. He's paying for his younger brother to go to university in Ghana. And, but there's millions of stories out there like Patrick's. My parents were the same. My parents left Greece because of poverty. They were working class individuals. And they went to Canada to start a new life. And this is what Patrick is doing here as well. Whatever. I'm gonna be speaking to him again. I'm gonna go by later tonight. and we can exchange details and see if I can help him.
And we'll make sure that Patrick gets this podcast.
Yeah, I guess on the podcast?
Yeah, so he'll hear that.
It's such a good heart.
And we really hope that if someone knows he's an IT professor, if you have a job, probably, teaching, but I don't know exactly, so I'll put his maybe CV down in the comments on YouTube, so probably a little bit about his experience. So if someone knows, maybe, you never know.
That'd be very sweet. That's very kind of you. A sweet guy. Like, I would hire him tomorrow. If I had an IT job, I'd hire him tomorrow. I mean, just his energy and his smile, and he's just a warm human, Anyway, that's Patrick.
Okay, let's go back to Greece.
Yeah.
The Greek concept about love of strangers and hospitality is renowned worldwide.
Okay.
Yeah. So how do you see this principle playing out in your work, especially in projects that involve storytelling and community?
You're talking about philotimo.
Yes. That's philotimo. I didn't say that particular word, but I don't know if I pronounced it right.
Philotimo.
So it's good that you philotimo. Okay.
Which is a word that you can't describe it in the English language. Philo, the first part of the word, means friend.
Okay.
Just like, the city Philadelphia.
Thanks for helping me pronouncing that. Philotimo.
Philotimo. Philotimo. You said it very well.
All right. Great.
And this is something we learned early on at home.
Okay.
And I think it's essentially, and there's apparently lots of different meanings to it, right? But it's essentially the, being able to give a certain love to what you said earlier, to a stranger, right? This type of, all of who you are, being able to transfer that to anyone who comes into your home. Okay? Or place of business, or whatever it is. And I think this is, again, you're asking really good questions. I think this, again, the reason why Greece and the Greeks have a very world-renowned, identity and reputation for being very hospitable. Okay?
Yeah.
So, how does that, it goes back to this for me. Two things that I've learned in my life, okay? I've learned a lot of things in my life.
Yeah. But you learn every day.
And you learn
20 stories every day.
20 stories, you're right. 20 stories, you're totally right.
That's great. Yeah.
I'll get a t-shirt, learning 20 stories every day.
And if you live in Dubai, then you're going to learn very diverse stories. We have all the nationalities. It's so diverse.
I took the metro.
Every other person comes from somewhere.
Yeah. I took the metro to come here. And the reason why I took the metro to come here is because I don't want to always take an Uber everywhere or taxi everywhere because I don't see people.
Yeah.
I don't get to meet people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't get to talk to people on the train or an attendant or I'll always ask for help for directions because I get to learn the neighborhood. I get to learn people as well, right? So I get in the train and I'm being foolish. I'm not really looking. I get in the train and I get into the first train and I'm like, I saw a woman here, and then a kind lady says, "Excuse me, sir, you can't be in here because it's only women only." I'm like, I'm so sorry, I had no idea.
That's usually the first one.
I had no idea, and all the ladies were laughing.
Yeah.
They were like,
we have three areas: women, everybody mixed, and there's one VIP.
The VIP, which this is incredible. This is incredible. Like the VIP, like the attendant. Because I guess I wanted to speak to attendant. The attendant goes, "Would you like VIP?" So I go, No. I want to be able to go with regular people. So I go to the first train. I get to the first train.
You were lucky you did not bump into an inspector, otherwise you could have been fine.
Probably fine. Yeah, absolutely. But I had no idea because I was just so happy. Like I get into the platform, I'm like, look at the train, look at this really cool brand new train. Right? I'm so excited because I love transport. I love like trains. You guys have a tram system here at home. Here we don't have trams in Canada. Very little. Very little in the U.S. It's a very European thing. Asian, whatever. And so I'm looking at the train. I'm like, look at the tram. And I'm like, I was just so happy just to be on it because I'm seeing something different. And I just walk in where the first doors had opened, and the ladies they were cute. They were smiling and they said, "Sorry, you can't be here." And I'm like, "I'm sorry." I just walked around as soon as I could. Walked right before the train even took off. I go into the next thing, but they were very, very sweet. They were very kind.
Okay.
Yeah. So as I was talking about the train,
Yeah.
I was in a train car coming here because I want to be able to see other people. There's no point of traveling around the world, and if I'm just going to be in a cab all the time or an Uber, I don't see people. I can't hear their languages, right? And like I was mentioning, you know, you go to a multicultural city that we like to claim, Montreal, Toronto, New York, the most multicultural cities in the world. They may be, but you don't see that a massive amount of people all concentrated in one area where you're literally seeing people from all the colors of the rainbow, different languages, different colors, like, and you know, and you hear the intonations of people as they're talking, right? And I'm trying to pick up what language are they speaking. This is, for me, it's exciting, right? Yeah. So the idea is, okay, so let me go back to what I was saying. Two things that I've learned in my life, okay? I've learned a lot of things, like you said, but two major things is, one, figure out what your purpose is. That's the most important thing, because if we don't know what our purpose is, some people might have two or three, but we're all lucky to have one. If you don't,
and I think the earlier you figure out, better it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So some people, they find the, you know, purpose very late in life.
Or, and this is a very good point, or they may never find it ever. And most people, I would say the vast majority of people, 80 to 90% of them, either don't know what their purpose is or they won't do anything about it. Okay? So that's the most important thing. And that purpose could be to anything. It doesn't have to be, you're going to be a doctor or an astronaut. It could be simple thing like a gardener. You're the best gardener. Or you just love gardening. Or you're going to be the best mother, as an example, because you have a maternal instinct. It doesn't matter. Figure out what your purpose is and do it. Because we have a very, very limited time on this planet. We know this. It sounds cliche, but it's true. If you're not on every day working what your purpose is, then forget about it.
Okay.
My purpose is storytelling. And in all forms. It could be through selling the TV shows that I would sell for third parties, creating my own TV shows or movies, creating my mother's cookbook, you know, whatever it is, but it's through storytelling. I'm a storyteller at heart because I was bullied, because it's part of my DNA, it's part of me being Greek. Maybe it's like, you know, because I come from a land of drama, tragedy, and comedy. I don't know, but it is what it is. My purpose on this planet is to tell a story. Okay? Second most important thing is to give back in any kind of form. If we are not giving back, if we are not giving at least 51% and taking only 49%, then there's an imbalance in the world. And giving back in whatever kind of form. Is it, okay, you know, today you're going to spend more time with your child, or you're going to spend more time with your grandparents or something like that because they need extra time. Or you're going to be helping that lady on the street who needs help with her groceries. Or you're giving back through charity. Whatever it is, if we're not giving back, then we're useless. Why are we here? We are here as a gift. You and I, none of us here on this planet chose to be here. Like, it's birthright. It's not a right. We always keep talking about birthright. No, I wasn't, you know, asked to be born, but we're here. While we're here on this planet, which is a gift, life is a gift, if we're not doing everything that we can in our power to give back, then, I'm sorry, we are useless as humans.
And we are very lucky to be here in this world. I mean, it's like a miracle to from billions of chances of, you know, being born.
Being here. I've been born here. I've been born. So if we're not doing something to give back to humanity, to this planet, to society, then there's no point.
Absolutely.
Simple things like taking your bottled waters and recycling it. And just maybe you're the best recycler in your school, as an example. Whatever. We got to give back. So again, let's go back full circle with the question that you asked me. This is, you know, who I am. And if I can't tell that story, and if I can't give back, if I can't mentor, if I can't help someone, then why am I here? I ask that question every day. What can I do every day to tell that story? What can I do every day to help that person? Even to help myself out. Sometimes I need love, self-love, whatever that might be. You know what I mean? Otherwise, again, you know, what's the point of me being this Greek person with philotimo, with hospitality, with caring for the stranger, taking care of that stranger. Maybe that's the reason why I want to help out Patrick get a job. Because if I have the power and the opportunity with my silly white privilege, then so be it.
Yeah.
Then so be it.
Great, fantastic, great advice. Finding a purpose and giving back. All right, in any form, whatever you can. All right, so also before we get to my next question, we were discussing about, you're such a good son. You were talking about your father cooking him 3 meals in a day. So how do you find that experience taking care of your parents at that age? I think he's 83, 85?
He's 87, my dad's 87,
yeah.
So my mom passed away a few years ago.
Yeah.
And the reason why I go back to Canada about 6 months per year is to give my sister a break to help care for my father.
How many siblings are you?
So I'm the youngest, we're 4. So 2 older brothers and an older sister.
Right, okay.
So my 2 brothers have families of their own. My sister is my father's private caregiver. So she doesn't get tired and exhausted. I go back to alleviate some of that, caregiving for her.
Right.
So she can go out, and she does go out. She has her own social life. She'll go out and see her friends and her boyfriend, whatever. When I do go back home, I have a place of my own. And when my father needs a little extra help, I'll move into his place. They have an extra bedroom. And I'll help cook, 3 meals a day for the guy. Because he needs it. At 87, he needs the vitamins. And he needs 3 full square meals a day. And which is interesting is that I'll always make something different. Like, he'll never eat the same meal twice.
Oh, wow.
Right? So
all over the week or just in a day?
All the time. Not just
all the time.
Forget about just the week.
Wow.
Forget about like just a month. Like he will never have the same meal. He'll have the same ingredients. Like, I'm gonna make chicken this way. I'll make, let's say, beef this way. But he's never gonna have the same. He's never gonna see the same plated food. Right?
Wow.
I'll make a dessert every 2-3 days, so so it can last for a couple of days. He'll always have a different snack. For between lunch and dinner, always try to feed him, and it also starts with my sister. She's great at taking care of him, and she's great at making sure that he has his 3 square meals a day, and his snacks, and his fruits, and his vegetables, and all that kind of stuff. But as we age, we need those additional vitamins. So it just can't be simple meat and potatoes. He needs the vitamin C as an example. So. The thing is, when I'm at my dad's place and I'm cooking, I'm gaining the weight because I usually just eat a light breakfast and a big late lunch. I don't need dinner, and if I do, I might have a snack, but he needs the 3 meals a day. So when I'm back at my dad's, I'm easily gaining 5 to 7 pounds, and I'm playing backgammon with the guy, and he loves tennis, so he watches tennis all day.
Okay.
Yeah, he loves his tennis channels.
Amazing. Really, such a good son you are.
I don't think so. Thank you for asking about my dad, though. But
so I just wanted to touch.
No, that's very sweet of you. That's very sweet of you.
All right, so food. Let's get back to food. Huge part of Greek culture. So, how do you want to use your passion for food? Your cookbook. And all this. Are you planning to open a restaurant maybe, or what are your plans are?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm here in Dubai. And hopefully with your help, we are looking to find some investor or investors to create a whole new concept of Greek cuisine that's never been done before, never been done even in Greece. Something that is high-end. I can't tell you too much, or at least the viewers,
Why high-end, by the way? Just, it's not going to be accessible for a lot of people.
No, but it's the entire experience, because that entire experience is going to require, a top-notch service and staff, and it's going to be...
fairly priced, though, so...
It's going to be... Listen, it's going to be modern...
It can be high-end, but fairly priced as well.
Again, it doesn't have to be expensive. Well, it all depends. It's something that we need to speak about with potential partners. It's an experience unlike other. Okay? And people will definitely be talking about it. So it's basically taking everything that I've known in the hospitality service, because my family back home, they were in the restaurant business. Between my father, my cousins, my uncles, my aunts, they've owned about 20 different restaurants in several parts of North America. So I grew up in restaurants, right? I grew up watching my mother cook. I grew up watching my father cook. I learned from one of my older brothers who owns several different restaurants with my father. So, and I've learned the service industry. I want to be able to create a whole new concept of service. And to be able to do that, with the Greek hospitality, with the Greek food, it's going to be taken to a whole other level that's never been seen before in Greek cooking and Greek, in a Greek restaurant, and likely also in other different cultural foods, a lot of different other types of foods. This is going to be an experience unlike any other. Again, I can't tell you, give you more details, because I don't want anyone to be able to take our concept and the idea.
Okay. Maybe you can tell me off the record, yeah?
I'll definitely be telling you off the record. And this is the reason why I'm here in Dubai. So
okay, great. F&B in Dubai is very saturated, but I don't think there are many good Greek restaurants in Dubai. So the concept really can work.
Listen, I did try a Greek restaurant yesterday. I'm not going to say the name of it, and it was fine. Okay. It's not going to be what you normally see of a Greek restaurant.
Yeah.
A whole other concept. This is something that people are going to be talking about it all around the world. This is going to be on social media. This is going to be some place that definitely, Michelin star quality restaurant.
Okay, we'll talk about it over the star. Yeah, later, definitely. Okay. So another thing, you were talking about mentoring earlier. So over the years, you have dedicated yourself to the mentoring and engaging in community service. So how was the commitment influence your own work, and why do you believe mentorship is vital? It's a part of one way of giving back. So tell us some stories and experiences about mentorship.
So, since I finished university and started working, I've been mentoring young people literally from grade schools to high schools, university, college, graduates. The people who can't afford, let's say, oftentimes what people ask me is either for advice and or consultation, advising. And for the people who can't afford that, I usually just ask them to just pay for my meal. Okay. Pay for like a lunch, take me out for dinner. For the people who are, in the industry or professionals or just recently graduate, whatnot, I offer free mentoring services to people who are still in school. Okay. And I've been doing that for years, and I'd love to be able to go into a classroom and talk to people, young people, because every generation has got their ideas and their thoughts, and to be able to listen to them and to be able to learn from them and then be able to challenge them, and then to be able to set them on a certain path, because not everyone is going to be that famous filmmaker, not everyone's going to be that famous author, right? Yeah. And so it's simple. It's like ask them lots of questions and see if at the end of the day it's something that they want to do. It starts from there, and usually people come to me because they find me, either because of what I've done in the past from selling TV shows or the movies or TV shows that I've produced, and now with my mother's cookbook, people find me. And I'm happy to help someone who's going to do the work.
And what sort of things do you mentor on? Like, are you a motivational speaker? Or motivational kind of
I've never done.
What do you teach?
Yeah, I've never done speaking, motivational speaking. Yeah. It's not something that interests me. Listen, if someone wants to pay me to do it, I'll do it. But that's not the reason why I'm here, or not the reason why I do it. I do it again to be able to give back. Okay. If again that person is within the industry and has some sort of affluence and wants to, pivot, okay, you know what, I'm gonna ask him for a certain fee. But for someone who's either starting off, again, like I'm just gonna, take them out for dinner, they'll pay for my dinner or my lunch, and in return, what I ask them to do is do the work. Okay. Do the homework. Right. And the moment they stop doing the work is the moment I stop mentoring them, because I'm not going to run after them. Okay? Yeah. And for, I would say for every 1 to 5 or every 1 to 10 people, they'll be continuous with me. So I'll still be able to, after years later, I'll still be mentoring people
Yeah.
Because they have a certain project they want me to take a look at as an example.
Yeah.
Hey, Christos, take a look at this project. What do you think? Is there something I can do to rejig it? How do I go about selling it? Who should I speak to? I'll be happy to help you. Not a problem. If you, again, either take me out or I get, say, a sort of finder's fee or whatnot.
And so do your homework.
Yeah, do the homework. And if they're not doing the homework, I walk away. Because I don't have time to spend to run after someone. If you're there, and if it's something that you want to keep doing on a continual basis, and we check in with each other every couple of weeks or every couple of months, I'm there. But as long as you keep doing it with the homework, and as long as I keep telling you what you need to do, I don't know all the answers. I don't have all the answers. I haven't figured out what the full recipe of success is. But if I'll challenge them, I'll get them to jig a certain part of what their project is. The moment they stop doing it, don't, because you're wasting my time and you're wasting your own time. But I do have some people who, after several years, of course, they're with me and they still help out when I can. Okay,
great. Okay, so given your my podcast is usually a business podcast, where we talk about business, experience in buying, selling businesses, what to do, what not to do. But since you have a lot of diverse career in many things, so is there any particular any experience you can share with entrepreneur or business owners? I don't know, a story. You're a storyteller, so tell us some stories about
selling. Tell stories. I can tell this. There'll be a 24-hour podcast. I can tell you stories about.
No, we have to finish in 5 minutes.
I know. I mean, it's I learned from trial and error, and I was very lucky when I worked for Just for Laughs. I had bosses who were not over our heads, so they weren't helicopter, like helicopter parents. They weren't helicopter bosses. So I learned from trial and error. And that's how I taught my employees as well. And it's simple things. It's like, and people tend to forget this. Important things like, who are you as your brand? If you don't have a brand, look, you have your brand on your shirt. But with that brand comes with all.
Do you like it?
I know, I love it. The great colors. But it comes with like the doctrines and the dogma of what your whole brand is. So I'd always tell my employees, as an example, few things. Always have a good watch. You're not gonna have a $20 Timex because no one's gonna respect you, because if you can't sell your TV shows, and if you're not successful enough, you only have that $20 Timex. What I would always tell my employees, make sure to buy that one watch or that vintage watch. Okay? The other thing is shoes.
Good watch or expensive watch?
It doesn't necessarily have to be either or. It's just as long as that it is a watch of quality. You're not going to be going to meetings with a $20 Timex. I was telling that. It's not happening. Right? And you're going to buy a good pair of shoes. Because it's interesting what people look at. They'll look at your glasses as an example because they're staring in your eyes. They'll look at your watch because you might be looking at your watch, but for some odd reason, they'll always be looking at your hands. And people always look at your feet. It's interesting. Every time I'm in a meeting, before, during, or after a meeting, they might not be looking exactly at what you're wearing here or pants, because they can't look at the label. Label's here. The label's in your pants. No, they don't know what you're wearing. But the thing is, your label on your shoe, your label on your watch, and your label on your glasses, as an example, they'll definitely be looking at that.
Very interesting.
And it's very important. So another thing, just to keep going in the same theme, I remember reading once, I think it was in GQ magazine, about bouncers at some of the highest end clubs in New York City. And the bouncers would say almost somewhat similar. If you came in with like $20 shoes, there's never any way you're going to get in. If you're coming in with 5 or 10 guys and no ladies under your, in your arms, we're not letting you in, because we're not going to have a nightclub of just 1,000 men and 10 women, and never show up in a white limousine. Because white limousines are reserved for weddings. If you're that cheap and you can't actually hire a black limousine, it's going to cost you a few extra dollars. We are not letting you in our nightclub. So it's the same thing in sales. If you are selling, let's say hardware, software, whatever it is, if you're selling something, if you're showing up with not the right watch, or not the right, let's say, glasses, and not the right shoes, you're not going to be my salesperson. And this is where I'm being difficult and very mean. Right. So it starts with that basics, with those basics. And then it goes to, you have to have the gift of the gab.
Okay.
If you can't ask your client the right questions, find out about who they are as a person, family, friends, if you can't start that simple type of conversation of what it's like to just simply be as a human, if you're not going to inquire who they are, I don't want you as a salesperson. Because if all you're going to do is talk about me, yourself, and all you're going to do is talk about the wares that you're trying to peddle, you're not my salesperson. Right. I don't want to, have an employee that is going straight for what you call the kill, as an example.
Or the sales pitch.
Yeah, I don't want the sales pitch. The sales pitch comes at the end of the meeting, or it might come after 2-3 more meetings.
Yeah, first you connect with your prospect.
Because if you can't be friends with your potential buyer, if you don't trust that buyer, there's no point of selling. Like I would always tell my employees, do you trust that person? If you don't trust that person, we're never going to do business with them. Okay?
Yeah.
That's one thing. And if you don't know that person, if you don't know how many children that person has, if you don't know that person's birthday, then I don't want you to do business with them. Because this is how you can have repeat customers.
Yes.
If you're like, friends with your buyers, with your clients, this is going to be a long-lasting relationship. Like, you and I have only met twice.
Yes.
We met in Greece, we met here.
Yes.
All I know is this, wherever you are on this planet, wherever I am on this planet, you and I will still be friends.
Yes.
Why? Because we spend time with each other. We find out what we're made of. We find out what we're all about. And if I didn't have that time with Tahir, then there's no point in me being here. I wouldn't even come here. Because he said to me, okay, you can come to my podcast. Because of that connection that we had.
And you were very kind to accept that straight away. And really
absolutely. And so if you don't have that connection, if you're not making that connection with people, then there's no point. You're not a salesperson, in my opinion.
Great, Christos. It's absolute delight to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. We need to go and have a iftar. There's very little time left. And really, it's really absolutely pleasure. And thank you for being here. Yeah, so this was Christos. And I hope our listener has enjoyed our today's show. Here is Tahir signing off. Follow my YouTube channel or download our podcast wherever you are, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and listen and enjoy. And I hope I'll bring you nice, interesting stories about entrepreneurs every week. Thank you.